My name is Harper. Harper Lynn Davis. I grew up in a small, dusty trailer park on the edge of Willow Creek, a nowhere town in Ohio. The kind of place where dreams go to fade, and the air smells like old tires and broken promises. My mom worked double shifts at the diner, her hands cracked from washing dishes, her smile worn thin from years of hoping for better. My dad? He left when I was 5, chasing some big idea that never came true. It was just me and Mom scraping by, living on instant noodles and secondhand clothes. I was 16 when I first saw Ethan Carter. He was everything I wasn't: rich, confident, untouchable. His family owned half the town, the big factory, the fancy houses on the hill, even the shiny new library with his last name plastered on it. Ethan drove a sleek black car to school, the kind that made everyone stop and stare. His clothes were crisp, his hair always perfect, and his smile. Oh, that smile could light up the darkest corners of my heart. I wasn't supposed to notice him. Girls like me, poor, invisible, with thrift store sneakers and a backpack, held together by duct tape, didn't belong in his world. But one day in English class, he turned around and looked at me. Not a quick glance, but a real look, like he saw me. His blue eyes locked on mine, and for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. "Hey," he said, his voice soft but sure. "You're Harper, right?" I nodded, my cheeks burning. I wasn't used to being noticed. "Yeah, you're good at this poetry stuff," he said, pointing to the worksheet on my desk. "I suck at it. Mind helping me out?" I blinked, sure he was joking. Ethan Carter didn't need help from anyone, least of all me. But he kept looking at me, waiting, and I mumbled, "Sure." That was the start. We talked more after that, small moments at first, like passing notes in class or laughing over a dumb line in a poem. He was kind, not the stuck-up rich kid I'd expected. He listened when I talked, really listened, like my words mattered. I told him about my mom, about how she'd sing old country songs to keep us going when the bills piled up. He told me about his dad, always away on business, and his mom, who cared more about charity galas than her own son. One day after school, he found me sitting on the bleachers, sketching in my notebook. I wasn't good at art, but it was my escape, my way of dreaming in a world that felt too small. "What's that?" Ethan asked, sitting next to me. His shoulder brushed mine, and my heart raced. "Nothing," I said, closing the notebook fast. "Just doodles." He grinned. "Let me see." I hesitated, but his eyes were so warm, so real, that I handed it over. He flipped through the pages, sketches of stars, flowers, and a girl who looked a lot like me, staring at a big open sky. "Harper," he said, his voice low, "these are amazing." "You're amazing." I laughed, nervous. "They're just sketches." "No," he said, serious now. "They're you. They're beautiful." That was the moment I fell for him. Not because he was rich or handsome, but because he saw me, the real me, not just the poor girl from the trailer park. For the first time, I felt like I could be more than my circumstances. But life isn't a fairy tale. A week later, I overheard his friends at school laughing about me. "Ethan's slumming it with that trailer trash," one of them said. "Bet he's just bored." My stomach twisted. Was that what this was? A game? I wanted to ask him, but fear stopped me. What if they were right? What if I was just a distraction for the rich boy who had everything? I pulled away. I stopped answering his texts, avoided him in class. He tried to talk to me, but I kept my head down, my heart guarded. I couldn't afford to hope. Hope was dangerous for girls like me. Then, one rainy afternoon, he showed up at the trailer park. I was outside, helping Mom fix a leak in the roof, when his car pulled up. He stepped out, his fancy jacket soaked, his hair dripping wet. "Harper," he called, his voice cutting through the rain. "Why are you avoiding me?" I froze, my hands trembling. Go home, Ethan, you don't belong here. I belong wherever you are, he said, stepping closer. Talk to me, please. I wanted to push him away to protect myself, but his eyes held so much hurt, so much truth that I broke. I told him what I'd heard, my voice shaking with anger and fear. He listened, his face hardening. Those guys aren't my friends, he said. They're idiots. I don't care what they think. I care about you. He reached for my hand and I let him take it. His touch was warm, steady, like an anchor in the storm. That was the day I started to believe in us, even if the world didn't. Falling in love with Ethan was like stepping into a dream I didn't deserve. We'd meet in secret, behind the school, by the creek, anywhere we wouldn't be seen. He'd bring me coffee from the fancy shop in town, and I'd share my mom's homemade cookies, even though they were a little burnt. We talked about everything, his dreams of leaving Willow Creek, my hope of going to art school someday. He made me feel like I could be someone, like my life didn't have to end in that trailer park. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. People started talking. At school, girls whispered when I walked by, their words sharp like knives. She's just using him for his money, they'd say. She'll never fit in. Ethan's friends were worse. They'd smirk and make crude jokes, like I was some kind of charity case he'd picked up for fun. His parents were the real problem. One night, Ethan invited me to a party at his house. It was a mistake, but I was too in love to see it. His mansion was like something out of a movie. Marble floors, chandeliers, a pool that glowed blue in the dark. I wore my best dress, a faded blue thing I'd found at a thrift store. But I still felt like I didn't belong. His mom, Mrs. Carter, pulled me aside before I could even say hello. Her smile was cold, her eyes sharper than glass. Harper, she said, her voice like ice. You seem like a nice girl. But Ethan has a future. A big one. You understand, don't you? I nodded, my throat tight. I understood. I was the poor girl, the one who'd drag him down. I left the party early, tears burning my eyes. Ethan found me later, furious. She had no right, he said, pacing outside my trailer. I don't care what she thinks. I love you, Harper. I wanted to believe him, but doubt crept in. His world was so different. Private schools, fancy colleges, a life I could never touch. What if I was holding him back? Things got worse when my mom got sick. It started with a cough, then fevers that wouldn't go away. The doctor said it was pneumonia, but we couldn't afford the medicine or the hospital bills. I started working nights at the diner, picking up every shift I could. Ethan tried to help, offering money, but I refused. I didn't want his pity. I wanted to be his equal. One night I came home to find an envelope on the table. Inside was $5,000 in cash and a note. For your mom. Please, Harper. Let me help. It was Ethan's handwriting. I cried so hard I could barely breathe. Part of me wanted to tear it up to prove I didn't need him. But Mom was getting worse, and pride wouldn't save her. I took the money, but it changed something between us. I felt like I owed him, like I was less than him now. Then came the first big twist. I was walking home from the diner, exhausted, when I saw Ethan's car parked outside a coffee shop. He was inside talking to a girl. She was beautiful, long blonde hair, expensive clothes, the kind of girl who belonged in his world. They were laughing, her hand on his arm. My heart sank. Was this why he'd been so distant lately? Was I just a phase? I confronted him the next day, my voice shaking. Who was she, Ethan? He looked confused, then guilty. That was Sophia. She's my ex. She's back in town for a few weeks. Your ex? I felt like I'd been punched. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't think it mattered, he said, reaching for me. It's you I love, Harper. She's nothing to me. But the seed of doubt was planted. I couldn't stop picturing them together, wondering if he'd go back to her, to his real world. I started pulling away again, building walls to protect my heart. The next few months were a blur of pain and confusion. Mom got better, thanks to the medicine, but the bills kept coming. I worked longer hours, barely sleeping, barely eating. Ethan tried to be there, but I pushed him away. I was scared, scared of needing him, scared of losing him, scared of being nothing without him. At school, the rumors got worse. Someone spray-painted "Gold Digger" on my locker. I scrubbed it off, my hands shaking, but the words stayed in my head. Ethan was furious when he found out. He confronted the kids responsible, got them suspended, but it didn't help. The damage was done. One night, we had our first real fight. We were at the creek, our secret spot, when I snapped. "Why are you even with me, Ethan? You could have anyone. Why me?" "Because I love you," he shouted, his voice raw. "Why can't you see that?" "Because I don't belong in your world," I yelled back. "Your mom hates me, your friends laugh at me, and I'm drowning in this life. I can't keep up with you." He grabbed my hands, his eyes pleading. "Then let me help you. We'll figure it out together." But I couldn't. I was too tired, too broken. "I need space," I whispered, and walked away, leaving him standing there alone. For weeks we didn't talk. It was like a piece of me was missing. I threw myself into work, into taking care of Mom, but nothing filled the hole in my chest. I missed him, his laugh, his warmth, the way he made me feel like I could be more. Then came the second twist. I got a letter in the mail, an acceptance to an art program in Chicago. It was a full scholarship, a chance to chase my dreams. I'd applied months ago, never thinking I'd get in. It was everything I'd ever wanted. But it meant leaving Willow Creek, leaving Ethan. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to run to him, to tell him everything. But another part, the scared, stubborn part, kept me silent. What if he asked me to stay? What if I gave up my dream for him? I decided to tell him in person. I went to his house, my heart pounding. But when I got there, I saw Sophia's car in the driveway. My stomach dropped. I turned to leave, but Ethan came outside, calling my name. "Harper, wait!" He ran to me, his face pale. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I demanded, tears streaming down my face. "Why is she always around?" "She's leaving tomorrow," he said. "She came to say goodbye." "That's all?" I wanted to believe him, but I was so tired of hurting. "I got into art school," I blurted out. "In Chicago. I'm leaving." His face fell, but he nodded. "That's amazing, Harper. You deserve it." We stood there, the silence heavy between us. I wanted him to fight for me, to ask me to stay. But he didn't. "I'm proud of you," he said softly, and walked away. I left for Chicago a month later, my heart broken but my head high. I told myself it was for the best. I'd chase my dreams, build a new life. But every night, I'd lie awake missing him, wondering if I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. Chicago was overwhelming. The city was loud, bright, alive in a way Willow Creek never was. The art program was everything I'd hoped. Teachers who believed in me, classmates who shared my passion. I threw myself into my work, sketching, painting, pouring my heart onto the canvas. But Ethan was always there, in the back of my mind, in the ache in my chest. I made friends. Lila, a bubbly girl from Texas, and Noah, a quiet guy who loved photography. They became my family, my safe place. But I never told them about Ethan. It hurt too much to say his name. One day, during a gallery show, I saw a painting that stopped me cold. It was a girl sitting on bleachers, sketching under a starry sky. My heart raced. It was me. The signature at the bottom read, E. Carter. I called him that night, my hands shaking. "You painted me," I said when he answered. "Harper?" he said, his voice soft, like he'd been waiting for my call. "Yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about you." We talked for hours, catching up, laughing, crying. He told me he'd started painting, inspired by my sketches. He was in college now, studying business to please his dad, but art was his escape. I told him about Chicago, about the city that felt too big and too small all at once. "I miss you," he said finally, and my heart broke all over again. "I miss you too," I whispered. We started talking more after that. Texts, calls, late-night video chats. It wasn't the same as before, but it was something. I started to hope again, to believe we could find a way back to each other. Then came the third twist. Lila dragged me to a party, insisting I needed to live a little. There I met Caleb, a musician with a warm smile and kind eyes. He was easy to talk to, easy to like. He asked me out, and I said yes, thinking maybe I could move on. But every date with Caleb felt wrong. He was sweet, but he wasn't Ethan. I realized I was still in love with a boy, 500 miles away, a boy I wasn't sure I could ever have. I broke things off with Caleb, and he was kind about it. "You're in love with someone else," he said, not a question. I nodded, tears in my eyes. I called Ethan that night and told him everything. "I don't want to lose you again," I said. "But I'm scared. What if we can't make this work?" "Then we'll figure it out," he said, his voice steady. "I'm not giving up on us, Harper." A year later, I was back in Willow Creek for the summer. Chicago had changed me. I was stronger, surer of myself, but still Harper. Still the girl who loved too hard. Ethan was there too, home from college. We met at the creek, our old spot, and it was like no time had passed. He took my hand, his touch familiar and new all at once. "I've been thinking," he said. "I want to move to Chicago." "I want to be with you." My heart soared, but reality crashed in. "What about your family? Your dad's business?" "I don't care," he said. "I want a life with you, Harper. The rest doesn't matter." We spent the summer planning, dreaming, falling in love all over again. But life had one last twist for us. In August, Ethan's dad had a heart attack. He survived, but he needed Ethan to take over the family business. Ethan was torn. His duty to his family, his love for me. "I have to stay," he said one night, his voice breaking. "At least for now." I nodded, my throat tight. "I know." We tried long distance, but it was hard. The calls got shorter, the texts less frequent. We were both chasing our dreams, but they were pulling us in different directions. One night, on a video call, he looked at me, his eyes full of pain. "I love you, Harper," he said. "But I don't know if I can keep hurting us both." I cried, but I knew he was right. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes you have to let go. We said goodbye, not with anger, but with love. I promised to keep painting, to keep chasing my dreams. He promised to keep living, to find happiness, even if it wasn't with me. Now I'm back in Chicago, my heart still healing, but stronger than before. I paint every day, pouring my love, my pain, my hope into every brushstroke. Ethan's out there living his life, and I'm living mine. We're not together, but we'll always carry a piece of each other. Life doesn't always give you the happy ending you want, but it gives you the one you need. Love is messy, painful, beautiful, and worth it. Don't be afraid to love with your whole heart, even if it hurts. And don't let where you come from define where you're going. You are enough just as you are. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share your own story in the comments. I read everyone. Let's keep inspiring each other to love, to dream, and to keep going. No matter what,